Hey traders, it's John Howell here. I want to do this video for you today because it's I'm seeing a lot of people out there right now really in an awful world, a lot of hurt when it comes to your trading and when it comes to what you're actually doing in the market. So I wanted to come on and actually do this video for you, and hopefully some things that I talk about today can really help you with your trading. Just for you guys that don't know who I am, my name is John Howell. I've been trading the markets now for 17 years myself, and it's been quite the journey when it comes to these markets. 17 years ago, when I first started trading, I lost $250,000 trading the markets. Now that was over the course of 3, 4, maybe 5 year period. And it was absolutely horrible. It really was. And when that happened, I had to sell my house, my car. I had to move in with my mother and father-in-law. It was really, really, really tough. And I learned a lot of things at that time that really cemented, and some lessons that still stay true to me to where I am today in the market. Now, thankfully, I've made that money back plus a lot more by being involved with the markets. And, it's been well over a decade that I've actually made a full-time income from the markets. So, and my trading just gets better and better and better and better each year. So I want to, if you are struggling in your trading right now and you are finding it difficult because you're just not sure what's going on or how to actually approach these markets, then this video is for you. The one thing that, if I can go back in time and say something to myself, I always say to myself, why was I putting so much risk on my account on any one position in the first place to blow up my account? Because that's what I did, right? I just crazy amounts of risk on my account every single trade, trying to make the big one. And so for me personally, this is when I first started getting involved with the markets, right? And then a lot of that money that I lost was actually borrowed money. So that's why I had 250,000. 200 was actually borrowed, and 50,000 was actually my own money. So, and I was like, why was I risking so much money per trade? And this is the first thing that I really want you to think about here. That this is going to neutralize your journey, and by understanding this, it's actually going to help you get to your goal faster by actually having less stress in your life. And the reason why I was risking so much, because I wanted to make a lot of money, right? Because I came from a family of just, a laborer. I barely finished school. I don't have any degrees behind me. So, it was just like I was a laborer. And so at the time, if I'm looking back now at that time, it's like, why was I risking so much per trade? And it's because I wanted to make a lot of money. Now, why did I want to make a lot of money? Now, we're not just talking about like 100 grand. I wanted to make millions of dollars, right? Now, why is that? Well, the whole thing about that was I wanted to make that much money because I wanted to buy the big house, the cars, and to give the finger to everyone who said that I'm wasting my time when it comes to me being involved with the markets. Look at me now, ma. Yeah, that's the finger. Anyway, 17 years later. So if you look back over your journey, right, it's like, why are you trying to risk so much money to make a lot of money? And the thing is because, I wanted to have the big house. I wanted to have the big car, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, one thing that I now realize by actually having that stuff, by living in a beautiful house, living in a 7-figure house, having a beautiful sports car and freedom and money and whatever, is like, that's not where happiness really lies, right? And here's the thing, right? Here's what I'm trying to get at, is that we put so much risk in our lives, which actually ends up sending us backwards big time, because we're trying to chase this thing because we think this thing is going to give us the thing we're after, right? We're happiness in our lives. And so I realized that I was doing that because I wanted to get to my goal faster, which was to have all this money and so on and so forth. But then the thing is, here's the thing. If I just slowed down and took methodical steps, this is back when I first started, and I just didn't put a lot of risk on my trades in being involved with the markets, like having small risk on my account. If I didn't do that, and I just slowly took my time, I actually would have got to where I am today years and years and years ago. And it would have happened a lot quicker. And the reason why it would have happened a lot quicker was because I was focusing so much on the money. And this is the second part here. The first part is that don't be in such a rush to get to the finish line, because when you do that one, you're probably going to blow yourself up because you're putting too much risk on any one trade, and you're probably going to get into things that most of the time are going to go wrong. If you're focusing on the money part of it, you're probably going to lose a lot of money. If you're focusing on good quality setups, then you're probably going to do really well with good risk management, right? So that leads me into the second part of my understanding of these markets, right? And here's the thing: the more risk I've had on my account, if I had a large amount of risk on my account, then almost 100% of the time I would actually lose money, and I'll be like, man, I just lost 40% of my account. What the hell happened there? Many times when I originally lost that $250,000, I remember one night I lost that $250,000 back with moving in with my mother and father-in-law. My father-in-law actually lent me $5,000, and then I remember one night out of that $5,000 I was trading the futures market all night, and then I lost about 50% of that account in one night. Now 50% account in one night, that's just crazy, right? Like, how much risk are you actually having on per trade? It's just crazy. And it shouldn't be like that. And so it was because I was having large risk, I was one, emotional, and two, all I was focusing on was making money. It was never about the actual trading side of things. What has helped me to this day has been, or should I say, through my journey, whenever I put a large amount of money on in the market, it's never because it's been a good setup. It's all because I've just thought, oh, well, this is definitely going to happen, so I'm going to load up on this big time. And because I thought that, it was never based on a system. It was based on just what I thought. Almost 100% of the time, those big risk trades, I'd lose money. Because it wasn't about the setup. It wasn't about the trade. It wasn't about the opportunity. It was more about, I just wanted to make a lot of money really quickly, and I was just looking for any reason to do that. But here's the flip side of it. Whenever I reduced my risk, instead of taking a 20% risk on my account, I'd take only a 5% risk on my account, or even a 2% risk. You know, when I'm actually trading in the markets, the investing is a bit different, but I'm actually trading the markets. When I did that, guess what? Because I was having small risk on my account, I wasn't trying to make a lot of money really quickly, but as a compounding effect, then I've realized that at the time, and still to this day, is that I do that, and then I'm not focusing on making a lot of money. I'm just focusing on good quality setups, and I'm looking to take the trade and so on and so forth. So whenever I was risking a lot, I was always going backwards. Whenever I risk small, I made more money by risking 5% of my account or even 2% of my account on any given trade than I did loading up on 50% of my account. What was the difference? The 50% of my account, I was just focused on making money. It was a bullshit setup in the first place, and I should have been in it. When I'm having low risk and being smart about the way that I'm trading, then I was always focusing on the trading setup and the risk management, and therefore I actually made a lot more money, right? I could blow $50,000 on one trade by risking too much on my account, and then it'd be all over. But then suddenly, by me risking real small, I could make 20 or 30 grand. You know what I mean? Or back in those days, it was 5 or 10 grand. You know, then you build it up to 6 figures or whatever. But and then 7 figures and beyond. We talk about per year here. But the thing is, they're the big things that I really want you to think about in these markets here. And one of the last points I want to make within this thing here, and if you're actually looking for some sort of a trading system, then just go to johnsfreetraining.com, johnsfreetraining.com. I've got a masterclass there where I'm going to walk you through my trading system that I trade to this day and how I find the trades and more about my backstory there. But the last thing that I really want to drive home with you today is that please just don't quit with your trading. There were so many times when I lost that money at the start of my trading career, 250,000, and I lost everything. And I had so many people saying, when are you going to quit? When are you going to quit this thing? This is just not for you, and it's not for you, and you don't understand, and da 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 da, right? All this da 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 da. And there's so many people in the back of my mind or in my ear saying, this is not for you, what are you doing? So on and so forth. And all I just say is this, is that if this is something that you really want to do, you can do really, 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 really well from it, okay? I'm speaking from experience here. I went from $250,000 in debt to doing just phenomenally well from trading. Now that's obviously over 17 years of going through the ups and downs and so on and so forth. But please don't quit. Please don't quit, but also just look at what you're doing. How are you approaching the markets? Are you approaching the markets with some sort of a system of a probability? Or you just you know what, I'm YOLOing on Bitcoin today. Like that's not long-term approach. That's not long-term success. And that's the reason why I lost so much money in my first few years or more. Because I was YOLOing on things that I thought were going to do really well. And it's really interesting is that most of the time when that happened, I was getting sucked in by the media, the headlines, the herd mentality. And you know what happens. You know what happens when it comes to that, right? It comes down to most of the time they are wrong. If so many people and so many news outlets are pumping one narrative, the opposite is true in the markets. So right now, especially right now, the narrative is that's it. The top's in, the market's going to crash. This pullback here is just it's the start of something major here. The market's down a lot bigger and right? All this sort of stuff that's happening right now in the market. The hard thing for me that I've had to learn through pain was actually ignore that chatter that's happening in the marketplace. Because we always think, oh, well, this whole thing with Russia and Ukraine, it's going to crash the market. That's it. It's all over. That's what we actually think, right? But let me ask you a question. This is where I really learned the art of it at all. Let me ask you a question. What actually happens to the markets when we actually do go to war? What actually happens? Like look back over the last 100 years. Stress test that thought, right? Because that's the thing. Most people would think, oh, this equals this, without even actually stress testing that thought. And you'll actually be surprised. Most of the time, it's actually bullish for the markets. You won't believe it. The markets go down, 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 down. Then suddenly we go to war, and then suddenly the market takes off. When did we go to war with Iraq? 2003. When was the bottom in the markets? 2003. So on and so forth. So the thing is that all I do say is that when with your trading right now, if you are doing really bad right now and you are going through overwater, a lot of hurt, you can get out of this mess, and you will get out of this mess, right? Because nothing stays the same, right? This too shall pass. You're going to go through some good times as well too. Right now, you might be going through a bit of a sticking point right now in the markets and in your trading right now, but that will turn, okay? But it's going to turn, but it will only turn if you can sit down and be honest with yourself about the way you're trading. Are you following any plan when you're trading, or are you just following the herd mentality? Because if you're following the herd mentality, you're always going to be wrong. Because I'm telling you right now, the herd mentality and the news outlets and so on and so forth, they may be right for the short term, but the overall picture is not going to be right. Like the stock market right now. So many people are negative on the stock market. We may have a little bit more down in the stock market, but don't be too surprised if 3 months from now we're making all-time new highs. The thing just shoots straight back up, and people are like, "What the hell happened there?" Exactly back with the whole COVID days, right? So please don't quit, okay? Please don't quit, and please make sure that you are you are also learning from what you're doing as well too. And on the other end of all of this, you can start to see patterns and get an understanding of the markets than most people do, because unfortunately most people come in the markets, blow themselves up like I did, and then say trading's not for me, and then they leave it, and then they go back to a normal job. Me, I had no other choice. The reason why I stuck with trading because it was either me trading or washing cars for the rest of my life, or digging holes, or being a labourer for the rest of my life. And I said to myself, I don't care if this thing, I don't care if this thing takes me 20 years to get. I'm gonna stick at this trading thing because I know I can get it. Well, once I get it, I'm gonna make a lot of money. Now, thankfully, it didn't take me 20 years. It took me a lot shorter than that. But I hope you can see what I'm saying here. So, anyway, traders, I hope this really sort of helps you out in some way or shape or form. Once again, go to Johns, JOHNS, freetraining.com, johnsfreetraining.com to actually get my trading system and how I trade the markets. And hopefully some of this stuff that I've talked about today really helps you and resonates with you. Speak to you soon, guys.